Hey guys, what's up? I'm going to make a video on my medications and what they actually do for my treatment in lupus. I want you guys to all keep in mind, whether you have lupus or you're just watching this because you know someone who has it, this is not the only way this condition can be treated, and it might not necessarily work for another lupus patient. Everybody's body reacts differently to this kind of autoimmune disease and really to any medication. So I'm just explaining to you how I have come from nearly dying to being where I'm at today with medication. Now, there is an option that I have been highly considering, but it's only in the third stage of testing for renal patients, and that's been Lista. And what they would do is put a port in me, and they would give me an infusion every month. But that's only good for systemic lupus right now. Now, if they approve it for the treatment of lupus nephritis, I will consider that. But everything that I'm doing right now is working, and I don't want to mess that up because I know where I came from. You guys know what I told you in the first video, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. All right, now I take mycophenolate or Cellcept, which is the anti-rejection drug for the kidney transplant patients. And essentially what that does is it brings my overactive immune system down to that of about a toddler. And little kids get sick all the time, and that's me. I'm like a little kid in my immune system. So Lysol is my friend, and hand sanitizer. Anyway, um, that one actually keeps my body from rejecting itself, and that was very important. So my next one is hydroxychloroquine or hydroxychloroquine, and it's the generic for Plaquenil. Plaquenil is actually an anti-malarial drug that they use a version of in South America called chloroquine. Or if you're going to travel to South America, somewhere where malaria is very prominent, they will give you uh, a dosage of this, maybe a week or two of it before you leave. And somehow, people who have lupus, it helps with their fatigue, their joint aches, and stuff like that. But it does make you very sick when you first start taking it, and in high doses, it will also make you very sick. But the other downfall about Plaquenil is I have to go to an eye doctor every 6 months to have a Plaquenil test done, and that's for macular toxicity. It can actually cause permanent damage to my macula. So what they do is they put me in a little room for this test, and they put a patch over one eye at a time, and I pretty much play a really boring version of Duck Hunt for a couple minutes on each eye. And what they do is they flash lights. It's all the same color, but they're different sizes and different brightnesses at me. And I click this little button when I see them. And then the optometrist tells me, oh, your visual field's fine. And then the pictures of my macula will basically second my test for it. So as long as everything's good there, I continue to take that. My next one is Neurontin or gabapentin, which is commonly used for epilepsy or a few different types of seizures. But I actually take it for fibromyalgia, and it reacts with the nerves. So the bundles of nerves that are just like this and just squeezing in your body and turning your skin all kinds of pretty shades of purples and blues and whites. Uh, Around your joints will be inflamed, and then your skin around it'll be ice cold, and these really beautiful shades of blue, purple, white, red, whatever. Um, it actually helps alleviate some of that pain. Not all the time, but it does help periodically. And if you're on a really high dose of it, like I was, um, makes you pretty much a zombie because it calms everything in your body down. I took myself down to a low dose so that I would be able to function. The problems I have with it obviously are the extreme fatigue after I take it and it starts working, and I have lapses in memory. Those are really interesting and they don't happen all the time. But I'm also on two blood pressure medications, clonidine and nifedipine or nifediac, depending on which drug company you get it from. Those are just to maintain my blood pressure at a normal level in case I was to start retaining fluid, or if I get fluid around my heart and lungs and that little cavity that your heart and lungs sit in. I can get fluid around there and it'll cause my blood pressure to shoot through the roof, but those just help me out um, in that. I also have a couple that are not lupus related that I'm going to go ahead and explain. And I'm on Buspar or Busaprone and liquid Finagrin. It's disgusting. It tastes like a bad version of NyQuil mixed with fake banana flavor. It's really nasty, but it works for the condition I take it for. Uh, the Busaprone or Buspar is to try to stimulate the stomach because I have gastroparesis and my stomach muscles that empty food from my stomach into the intestines don't work right. And on a normal person who digests food at a normal rate, there would be 95 to 100% of it gone out of the stomach and on the rest of its journey in 4 hours. When I took my test, there was only 30% gone in 4 hours. So the remaining 70% of food just sits in my stomach until it feels like going out, which is why I get so sick all the time and I have the liquid Finagrin. I also take a medicine called Saligen, which is for dry mouth, and it it works, and that's a secondary to a couple of my other medications. Currently, I am on a very high dosage of vitamin D a week as well. Since I can't be out in the sun and get the natural vitamin D to soak through my skin and my hair and scalp and stuff, my vitamin D is regularly low. The last set of blood work I had done, it was 17. And the lowest possible number it should be on the spectrum is 30. And sometimes they'll even give me doses of vitamin D when it's 30. But without adequate vitamin D, you feel very tired, you're weak, and you just, in general, feel like crap. It's almost like the feeling after total exhaustion after working all day, but you don't have the urge to sleep. It's just like your body is just there and it weighs 10 tons and you just don't want to do anything. It's a really bad feeling, and the vitamin D does help me out. Um, Here's my collection of all the lovelies that I take. I um I also take Prilosec, which is exactly the same thing that you get over the counter or Meprazole. And it's the same dosage, 20 milligrams, that you can buy like at Walmart or anywhere. And that's for acid reflux. And it actually comes with a lot of lupus patients, they suffer from it. I do take over the counter stuff too. I take a women's multivitamin, aspirin, and Colace. And I've been on a lot of other medications that they've taken me off of, like Lasix. I was on Cozar for blood pressure. I've been on Simvastatin for cholesterol when my blood pressure was repeatedly testing high no matter what I took. I've been on Reglan for ocular migraines, and I currently have sumatriptan needles that if I happen to get an ocular migraine, I can inject it into my thigh to help that out. Doesn't always work. I and usually end up in the emergency room, running rampant because I'm allergic to IV Reglan, and it makes me go nuts. Last time I took it, um, I unhooked and tried to leave the emergency room, and there was no reason for it. It was stupid. But uh, I do get a little bit of help with pain management. It's kind of my choice at this point to not be on something very high for either muscle tension or for pain, because I know this is a progressive disease and I'm going to need it later down the road. I get hydrocodone in a very low dose and very few pills, and I also get Flexeril in a very low milligram, and I take them only when I'm desperate, because that also interacts with my gastroparesis, and my stomach will move even slower, like I need that. But I'm actually waiting for uh, medical marijuana to be legalized here where I'm at. Probably going to be one of the last states, but we won't go there. Or to see if there's a way for me to get the oil by getting an out of state card to see if that would help, because I was told it would help with my gastroparesis and everything else that I have. And yes, I do stand by that, but I just have to wait for the right time. So, as of right now, that's all I've got for you guys. If you have any questions, comments, or anything like that, always remember I'm an open book, and just let me know, and I'll see you in the next video.